Hello, and welcome back to Spaces or Laces. I'm your host, Jeff Meyer. As always, it's been a few weeks since I've had Spaces or Laces podcast, and I think this is the perfect time to have a recording since it's week 17 in the NFL, and this weekend also kicks off the college football playoffs. The one thing I know many of us have been waiting for months. Should be a fun one this weekend. Should be a fun one. Great football weekend. You have Clemson and Notre Dame squaring off in the first matchup at 4 p.m. in the college football playoffs. And then you have Alabama and Oklahoma, 1 versus 4 at the night game. I believe it starts at 8 p.m. Very excited for both games. I don't think the second game is going to be a very good game. I'm excited to watch it, but I'm really excited for the first game. I think Clemson is going to come out and show everyone that Notre Dame's a little bit overrated. Just a little bit. I'm very excited for that because Clemson can put up points. They can score a lot of points. And I think Notre Dame's, honestly, who did Notre Dame beat this year other than Michigan? And it's one of those things that kind of sucks being a Michigan fan. After they got killed by Ohio State, that Notre Dame win over Michigan week 1 doesn't look quite as good now. They beat Stanford. Stanford that good. They're playing Pitt this weekend upcoming. Like next week, actually, being next week. Stanford, they beat Stanford. They beat a shitty USC. Who did Notre Dame beat this year? I mean, you can say the same thing for Clemson. Clemson didn't have that type of schedule. I mean, they beat Pitt by a lot in the ACC championship. But I'm excited for that one. I think Clemson's going to come out and prove that Notre Dame's overrated. I'm very excited for that, especially not a huge fan of Notre Dame. So Clemson, I think we're going to have a rematch this year. I think Clemson's going to win. With that being said, I think we're going to have another national championship rematch between Alabama and Clemson. I don't think Oklahoma can play D well enough to beat Alabama. I think they can score. I think they can score some points on that Alabama defense. But Oklahoma's defense is not. They are not stopping Alabama. Big 12 defenses, I don't think, can play with the SEC. That offensive line for Alabama is going to be too big, too physical, and too good for Oklahoma's front seven. Now, they got some athletes. Oklahoma, hey, don't get me wrong. I was at that Oklahoma WVU game this year in Morgantown. And Oklahoma can sling the rock. They can put up a lot of points, and they have athletes. So with that being said, maybe an outside possibility. I think it's Alabama. It's Alabama. It's the college football playoffs. Nick Saban. You're not beating them. They're going back to the ship. And honestly, Georgia should have been the one to beat Alabama this year. Georgia had that game, and there was some poor coaching at the end of that game. In the Alabama-Georgia SEC championship, Georgia was way too conservative. They had a lead, way too conservative. Jalen Hurns had to come in for God's sakes. Somehow put the team on his back. Showed why he won a national championship 2 years prior, and took care of business against the Georgia Bulldogs. But honestly, I think the Georgia Bulldogs should be in the playoffs. I think they're a better team in Alabama this year. But hey, Alabama, well-coached, well-disciplined team, took care of business against the Georgia Bulldogs, and they deserve their spot in the college football playoffs. And this weekend, they're going to handle their business against Oklahoma. And in the national championship, they're going to face Clemson. And I'm not ready to. I need to see both teams play this weekend before I make that prediction. But I don't see how anyone could beat Oklahoma. I don't see how anyone can beat Alabama right now. But maybe Clemson will surprise me. And they'll put up a lot of points and embarrass Notre Dame. But I think it's going to be another rematch. Alabama-Clemson. Clemson, I believe, is going to put up a lot of points, handle Notre Dame, and I can't see Oklahoma's defense stopping Alabama. So I think Alabama and Clemson are going to be the winners this weekend. That's what I got for college football playoffs. I think WVU is going to beat Syracuse this week in that bowl game, and I'm hoping Pitt can do something against Stanford. It'd be really big for the program to get a quality win versus a very good program like Stanford. Stanford this year wasn't very good, but it's a prestigious, great program. So Pitt could really use a nice win in that bowl game. But transitioning now to the NFL, Week 17. As a Steeler fan, I'm basically dead right now. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know if I should cry, be happy, excited. There's a whole ball of emotions. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I really don't. Week 17, The Steelers are number 8 right now in the playoff run. Now, it's a little misleading considering if they handle their business this weekend against the Bengals, the Steelers are home, and the Browns are playing the Ravens on the road. And so it's playing in Baltimore. The Browns are playing in Baltimore. If the Browns and Steelers handle their business, the Steelers will make the playoffs as the AFC North champs and be the 4th seed in the playoffs. Considering right now they're sitting at 8, they're on the outside looking in. Obviously, NFL playoffs should be the top 6 in the AFC or the NFC to make the playoffs. The Steelers being the AFC, they're sitting at 8, right outside right now, the playoffs. If they get a little luck this weekend from the Browns, Baker Mayfield, that Cleveland defense, Steelers handle business against the Bengals, we're going back to the playoffs, baby. But on the other hand, I don't know what Steelers team's going to show up. I mean, it's not outside the possibilities that Cleveland goes to Baltimore, wins, and the Steelers lose at home to the Bengals, who I don't even know who's their quarterback right now. It's not Andy Dalton. I don't know who's there. Some no-name quarterback could easily beat the Steelers at home this weekend, considering the way this season is going. The Steelers at one point this season were 7-2-1. They're currently 8-6-1. So they went 1-4 since being 7-2-1. They win this weekend, they'll go to 9-6-1. The Ravens lose, they'll go to 9-7, and the Steelers will have the better win percentage and win the AFC North. The only thing, there's one other way they can make the playoffs, and God knows it's not going to happen. Be the Colts and Titans this weekend tie, and the Steelers beat the Browns, and then it doesn't matter about the Ravens. Steelers will have the head-to-head matchups or win percentage. I don't know exactly what it is, but they'll make the playoffs as the 6th seed over the Titans and the Colts if the Titans and Colts tie this weekend. But that'd be one bizarre ending to the NFL season. The Colts and the Titans tie, and the Steelers get in because of it. So I'm going to be more realistic, and I'm going to root for the Browns. Pull up the upset at Cleveland. Lamar Jackson's playing very well. I watched him play the Chargers. I don't think he's going to last very long in the NFL, but right now he's the hot hand. He's playing really well. He's running the ball well. He's thrown pretty well. He's not a throwing quarterback in my opinion, but he's doing enough right now. He does have arm talent, though, which is always a good thing in the NFL. He definitely put some pepper on that ball and make some tough throws, but I just don't see him as a precise, accurate NFL quarterback, one that can live and succeed in the pocket. That's just not Lamar Jackson. Hey, time will tell, but I might be biased being a Steelers fan, but I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to be the savior or the next franchise quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. But he's hot right now. He's playing well, and God knows he can beat Cleveland at home and go to the playoffs. So, Steelers fan, I'm hoping the Steelers handle business at home with the Bengals and the Browns. Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett, and that defense go to Baltimore and get their first winning season since 2006, I believe it was. I just know that Derek Anderson was the quarterback of that team. So it's been well over 10 years since the Browns have made the playoffs and had a winning season. I'm pretty sure that year they had a winning season and made the playoffs as like a wild card. That's going in the far back there. I don't know exactly if I can remember exactly how that was, but I'm pretty sure they had a winning season. Derek Anderson took the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs in like 2006-ish, but the Browns haven't been relevant since. And this year they have a chance if they can take care of business in Baltimore. They'll end up 8-7-1 and have a winning season for the first time since then, which is pretty crazy. And it's also crazy because the Browns this year fired their head coach midway through the season. But Baker Mayfield's done enough. That defense played well enough. The crazy thing, too, hypothetically, if the Browns beat the Baltimore Ravens and the Steelers lose to the Bengals, the Steelers and Browns will end up with the same exact record, sitting at 8-7-1 this year. And if someone would have told me that before week 1, I told him you're fucking nuts. That the Steelers and Browns would have the same record after the regular season is over in the 2018 NFL season. I told you you're fucking loco, dude. You're crazy. But it's a possibility. We're sitting here as a Steelers fan. Didn't handle business last week in the Saints, largely in part because of poor refereeing, bad play calling, and missed opportunities and turnovers, essentially, as a Steeler fan. I mean, I will never be one to blame that game on JuJu, but at the end of the day, that fumble obviously didn't help. It kind of ended the game, but that's not the reason. There was plenty of opportunities for the Steelers to win that game or make some better plays, better decision-making as far as coaching is concerned. But yeah, people are all upset saying JuJu should focus more on football. Get the fuck out of here, dude. He's an NFL player. His life is football. Yeah, so he does all the celebrity stuff and like plays video games and shit. Like, you'd think he doesn't take football serious? Look at the shape he's in. Look how well he's been in the season. And it's crazy because today, I don't know exactly when it broke, but the Steelers named him the MVP of the 2018 season for the Steelers. So if that doesn't tell you enough about how focused and dedicated he is to football, then you don't know football, or you don't know JuJu Smith-Schuster. Because that guy's a freak. He's been balling all season, and I don't think he's the type of person like one little fumble to define him or his career as a Pittsburgh Steeler. I think he's going to bounce back this week, have a big game against the Bengals. I'm looking forward to it. But getting back to that Saints game a little bit more, the refereeing, god damn, was bad. As a former football player, football fan, it's honestly sickening. I don't know how we're here today. We're at this junction in the NFL with refereeing. I don't know how we got to this point, but it's absurd. I couldn't even watch the Eagles-Redskins game before, and I can't remember which team the poor officiating was going. This who was for or whatever, but it was very one-sided. I don't remember what the side was because after I watched the Steelers and the Saints game, I'm pretty sure my mind just shut off for eternity. So I was so dumbfounded about how bad the refereeing was. But just every game this year, I've watched a lot of Cowboys games, been piss poor. Just the NFL in general, bad refereeing. And it started off in the first quarter of the game with Joe Hayden's pass interference penalty in the end zone, which ended up being like a 50-some yard penalty. It's a spot foul, put it at the 1, and then obviously they ran it in immediately the next play. But that was some piss poor officiating. Joe Hayden had 4 fingers on his back. Didn't even have his whole palm. Wasn't a stiff arm. Wasn't a shove. Wasn't grabbing the jersey. Didn't hook him. Didn't have underhooks. Had nothing. 4 fingers. Literally just touched him. If you touched a baby wouldn't even notice you if you touched him like that. You touched him that softly. There's no way. I think it was Kamara was there. I don't even think Kamara even knew he touched him. If you put him on a lie detector, he'd probably be like, oh, no one touched me. Like, Joe Hayden barely grazed him. He called out a 15-yard penalty. The ball wasn't even catchable. Let's get there first off. Whatever happened, that's the one thing that bothered me so bad about this game too. Is there's so many things, like tendencies that refs have and officiating goes. At least the last 10, 15 years that I've watched NFL games, and this game they went away from it. And I don't even know if it's a rule anymore, but I remember for a long time, the ball wasn't catchable. It wasn't, you couldn't have pass interference. If a ball's tipped, not pass interference, stuff like that. I know that one still, if you tip the ball, still not pass interference, that's still a rule. I'm not really sure if the catchable thing's still a rule, but regardless, that ball was not fucking catchable. It was 4 feet over Joe Hayden's head, and he was 2 feet or 3 feet behind Kamara, so there's no way Kamara could have made that grab. But and then getting to the other one, talking about tendencies. In the fourth quarter, towards the later part of the game, I'm pretty sure it was in the fourth quarter, that 4th and 1 that Drew Brees converted on that slant pass that Joe Hayden, well, he didn't complete it. Joe Hayden made a break on the ball. It was incomplete, but they got the first down because they called pass interference. That was one of the worst calls I've ever seen, too. And it wasn't as bad as the previous call that I just talked about, because I could see it being pass interference. He kind of hooked him. I don't think it was pass interference. I've always been a defensive-minded guy, fan, football player, very defensive-minded guy. So I personally didn't think it was pass interference. But if you're going to call one of the 2 pass interferences, you're going to call that one a pass interference. But on the same token, it was a bang-bang play in the fourth quarter, a big moment. The ref's got to keep his flag in his pocket there. You can't throw that flag. They always say it, last couple years, last decade, big moments like that, let the play be decided on the field. Don't put your fingerprints and your imprint on the game as a referee. The ref should not have done anything there. It was a bang-bang play. Easily could have been caught. Easily, knocked down. All this stuff was bang, bang. Joe Hayden, I can't remember if he did get this hand on the ball or not. If he did knock down, I can't quite remember. I don't exactly recall it verbatim. But regardless, it's a bang, bang play. Leave the flag in your pocket. Don't be the fucking hero. Don't be, spotlight on me. I'm going to make a decision here, call here. Leave it in your pocket. Let the play be decided on the field. You can't throw that there. It decided the game. Between those two pass interference calls, the fucking fake punt, the fumble, there's a lot of things that went into the outcome, but regardless, the Steelers should have handled business. You want to make the playoffs, you win that game. You had the ability, you had the opportunity to win that game. You got to seize that opportunity and handle business. The Steelers did not do that. And as tough as a Steelers fan, the same token, they could have beat the Chargers. They should have beat the Ravens. They should have beat the Broncos. Those two hurt more. So the Chargers are a good team. They should have beat the Raiders hands down, and they should have, would have, could have beat the Broncos, and they didn't handle business either at Mile High Stadium. So you're sitting here now at 8-6-1. You look at those losses, like two of those could easily be wins. We could be sitting at 10-4-1 here and not worrying what the fuck, happens this week 17 this year. We could even week 17 at the end of the season here. We could sit our starters if we wanted. I don't know where maybe we get the third seed or the fourth seed, the third or the second seed instead. Well, let's just say this. We're not sitting at 8 outside looking in, needing some help going into the last week of the season, possibly not making the playoffs when we have a team that can get hot and win the Super Bowl. And that's the thing, this team right now, they're so hot and cold. I can see them making the playoffs, losing the first round. See them making the playoffs and going the whole way to the Super Bowl. I don't know what team we're going to get. I don't know how consistent Big Ben's going to play in that offense. I don't know if the defense is going to show up. I don't know what to expect. But I know this. I've seen glimpses this year. I've seen glimpses of a team that can make the Super Bowl and possibly win it. But we're in the outside looking in for the playoffs right now. So there's not even a chance. We might not even make the playoffs. So that being said, it's rough. And then look at the NFC. The Eagles are the same way. The Eagles can sneak in. They might make another run with Nick Foles again. It's crazy. A year later, Nick Foles might make another run, baby. Watching them play against the Redskins, Nick Foles played really well. So it sucks that the two Pennsylvania teams are on the outside looking in right now, need help. But both teams, they handle their business, get their wins, get a little help elsewhere, they'll make the playoffs. So nice thing about the Steelers, if they make the playoffs, they'll be the 4 seed, so they'll get a home playoff game in the wild card. The Eagles, I don't think because the Cowboys already locked out the division, so they can't have a home game. But, oh, man. Just hope the Steelers can Baker fucking Mayfield and Myles Garrett. I'm going to be rooting so hard for you guys this week. The only unfortunate part, too, is the Steelers game I'm going to. It's a 4:25 game. The Browns Ravens game is also a 4:25 game. They couldn't have a 1 and a 4 game there. In the NFL, as a fan, that's what I would want. So I could watch both games, but I guess it makes sense for the NFL. That way, your team's not going to make it. You don't just not watch. So if you put them at the same time, people are flipping back and forth watching. I guess the NFL makes more sense to have them at the same time for ratings and all that good stuff. As a fan, it's like I want to watch both games. I'd love the Steelers to play first, win, and then watch the next game, being the Browns and the Ravens. But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Hopefully Lamar Jackson doesn't play well this weekend. Ravens have lost the turnovers, and Baker Mayfield and that defense plays very well. And hopefully Nick Chubb, Georgia boy, balls out. But should be a fun weekend regardless. I'm going to be rooting for the Browns, the Steelers, Clemson, Oklahoma. I don't fuck Alabama. I'm never going to root for them. So no, I don't think Oklahoma's going to win, but I'm going to root for Oklahoma, knowing Alabama's going to win. But should be a fun weekend. Be another weekend at Heinz Field, which is always a good one. Hopefully, Big Ben and that offense and the Steelers defense can rally together and get this win and get a little help from the Cleveland Browns. But that's all I got here on Space and Lace. This is the first episode in a long time. Just been busy with work and life and all that fun stuff. But hopefully next week, I'll be having a podcast talking about the Steelers and their playoff matchup. But we'll wait and see how it goes this Sunday. But this is Jeff Meyer here on Spaces or Laces. Over and out.